Hey guys, it's Fast Entrepreneur here. I'm shooting another video here on cryptocurrency, and this one specifically, I'm just going to talk a little bit about ICOs. So what are ICOs? Well, if you watched one of my previous videos where I talked about the three different areas that we're looking at in cryptocurrency, ICOs, day trading, buying and holding long term, ICOs would be the first. And what is it? It stands for Initial Coin Offering. It means that there's a new company out there or even an existing company out there and they want to raise some money or they want to have a token for their platform. They can offer this through an ICO. And what that means is for people like you and I, we can hopefully potentially profit by being one of the early investors in this process, because normally traditional finance, venture capitalism, and all, venture capitalists and et cetera, and all this is usually normal people don't get access to fund companies like this, especially at early stages, and early stage kind of maybe lower valuations, if you will. And so that's what's unique about this. I should say right off the bat, as this blockchain cryptocurrency space is emerging, government regulation is still trying to figure out what to do about it. And so with regards to ICOs, what you're likely to see is the KYC, know your customer. Many of the ICOs require this in different forms. Some it's pretty complex and some it's pretty simple. Some ICOs specifically don't offer their services, meaning you can't participate in the ICO even if you wanted to, if you're from certain countries. In certain countries specifically, I'm in the United States. In the United States, there are very kind of, I guess, stricter, hoops to jump through, because we're talking about securities laws. Has to pass certain things, the Howey test, etc. But there's a lot of these details. And so some of these ICOs just simply say, hey, too many hurdles to jump through over there. We'll just exclude the USA. We'll go raise capital from the others, and that happens a lot. And so. But not all the time. And so there are some ICOs that certain countries or certain citizens can't participate in. Okay, so beyond that, why would we even think about participating in an ICO? Well, I mentioned this is the chance of potentially investing in companies at the earliest stage possible, and it's a kind of a crowdsource arena here. And so it's interesting. Now, these tokens are supposed to be designed into either two categories, security tokens or utility tokens. Basically, and the reason I say that is if it's a security token, it should be and ought to be treated just like a security, like a stock or a bond or something. And that's why these regulations in certain places, especially the U.S., are there. Sometimes these tokens are just meant for the utility of the platform themselves, and in those cases wouldn't be considered securities at all. But we're still waiting for kind of the definitive answers from a lot of these regulatory bodies. But why would we want to look and invest in ICOs? Well, to put it quite frankly, because you could see massive gains in short periods of time. And just to give an example, I mean, I've personally, been involved in ICOs. Here, a couple of months later, you sell it for, an 8-time gain. There's been other ICOs, that I have not participated in, but some ICOs have, sold for 20 times, or some are even, now, 40 times their ICO price. But some of those have been trading on an exchange, and they've been out for a little while. But it just gives you, shows you the nature. There's also, there's also a lot of ICOs that are just garbage and they're scams, and that will just take your money and run. And those are the ones that we're trying to avoid. And that's why we have certain criteria and groups of, people that, we work together to make sure that we're minimizing risk as best we can. But 2018 could definitely be a year where we're going to see many ICOs, meaning we could see, who knows? I mean, 10, 20, maybe we'll see hundreds of these things even a day. Some of the resources that I'm currently looking at, I listen to, different newsletters, some YouTubers, and then for some websites like ICO Drop or Coin Schedule, and there's others that will list some of these up and coming ICOs. What I thought was neat about ICO Drop is, it's a pretty simple website, but if you go there, they have four tabs. I think they had their, current, their upcoming ICOs, but one of their last one was the stats, and I went through the other day just to kind of click through, and they were showing, what the ICO, how the ICO had performed based on its current market price, meaning they'd already finished their ICO, it's gone to an exchange, which means once it's at an exchange, you can buy and sell it. And I was just looking and scrolling down. It seemed to me, that most of the ICOs that were listed on ICO Drop hadn't lost a whole lot of money. Most of them were either selling right around the same price that you could invest in their ICO at. Some of them, were maybe a little bit less. Some of them, 40, 50, some of them dropped, half. But, some of them were somewhere between maybe I'd say most of them that I looked at were probably between like 1 and 2, maybe 1 and 3%. But then you had an occasional ICO that was, 5 times, then you had, 9 times, or then you had 12 times, then you had 11 times, then you had 18 times, then you had 40 times. So you could see that you could see the whole range, and I don't know if ICO Drops was listing all of the ICOs, maybe just the ones that they listed on their site. But, it just gives you an idea, a little bit of a tool. Also, when we're looking at ICOs, sometimes they'll give discounts to folks that invest in the ICO earlier, meaning they might have a tiered ICO. Maybe they'll have 4 tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers. And if you invest in the first tier, you might get 100% bonus tokens, meaning 2 for 1, right? For every dollar you invest, you're getting another one free type of thing. As you invest in some of the later tiers, they might have 50% bonuses. And then finally, towards the end, you might not have much of a bonus at all. Once an ICO finishes, you'll have to take your tokens. A lot of times, they'll just ask you for an ERC20 token. You can go to a website called myetherwallet.com and make sure you are definitely on the right one, so that you don't get phished, don't get hacked or scammed. You can read about that first before you open up a wallet. But MyEtherWallet allows you to store any ERC20 token, which are any any tokens that were running on the Ethereum blockchain, and many of these ICOs currently have. But we're starting to see others that aren't, others that are having their own blockchain, others that are starting on other platforms that besides Ethereum. We're seeing some on Neo, for example, is just we're going to see a lot, so storing these things, that'll be another thing that we talk about. I'm looking forward to. There's a company, Ethos, that's already been out, but they're supposed to have a universal wallet for universal storage for any coin or token, and from what I understood, and that's kind of neat. So keep our eyes out for that, because. But what I was saying is, most of the time, you sign up, you fill in your information, KYC if necessary, you deposit. Usually you can pay with Bitcoin or Ethereum. Sometimes there'll be others, and then they'll credit either their internal dashboard, they'll give you your tokens, or they'll ask you for like an ERC20 token address, where when the whole sale is done, they'll send them. So. There you have it. That's kind of the ins and outs, and that's basically it. And so, then you invest and you kind of wait. Sometimes you have to wait until the token sale is over. Sometimes it's a week. Sometimes it's 3 weeks. Sometimes the token sale said it was going to end in 3 weeks, but it ends in 15 minutes because there was so much demand, and it sells out. And just so you know, I'm even seeing some of these ICOs that I've been looking at are getting so competitive that they are closing out in 15 minutes. And it's a bummer, because if you want to buy in at the ICO, but you can't because you just either you're not there or you get closed out, or we're also seeing what are called gas wars. We're seeing in order to send, say, Ether to the contract, to the ICO, so you can participate, you have to send a little bit of little extra in gas and in network fees to get it there faster. We're seeing some people, spike these fees up and up and up and up and up just so they can get there faster ahead of the next guy in line. And so, it's getting more competitive. And that's, so if we are looking at ICOs, especially those ones that are competitive, how are we going to ensure that we're going to make it there on time and get ahead of the line and not be closed out like most of the other participants? Okay, so ICOs. I think I'm going to end this video, but we'll talk more about this. But if you are interested in investing in ICOs, now you know the pros. The pros are they can be very lucrative. We're talking about 5, 10, even 20 times or more your money. They're also risky. So maybe you might not want to put all your eggs in one basket. You might want to invest in a bunch of them and hope one pops. But that's it. And I hope that 2018 is a great year for us here in crypto and in the ICO world. So like this, subscribe, and thanks a lot for your time, and we look forward to a great year.